vote gets in the Senate. I want to ask you a question. Do you think President Trump will be the last president of this United States as we know it?
Yes.
You do. And
Yeah.
what do you think from your perspective, Santa? Do you think it's going to look like from here on out? Would it be more like a kingdom of sorts, or how do you?
Well, okay. I'll start with the word corona. Corona in Italian means crown. So he has also posted that meme back in February, Trump forever. Remember that? It was made by Carpa Dunctum. So he posted that, and I said, okay. And again, I am going on the mindset of a basic Santa surfing mindset. And then I was like looking at all the signals and how he's talking about power back to the people. And I had studied about NESARA and GESARA. And then
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families all across our land. That all changes starting right here and right now, because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you. It belongs to everyone gathered here today and everyone watching all across America. This is your day. This is your celebration. And this, the United States of America, is your country. What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. January 20th, 2017 will be remembered as the day the people became the rulers of this nation again. The forgotten
really started doing some deep dives earlier this year. Trump signed something on the 4th of July. Don't know if it's a brand new Declaration of Independence. I don't know. He signed something because Melania posted something on that. She posted POTUS signing the Declaration of Independence this evening at the White House. And I was like, what? I went crazy. I really went crazy because we're actually walking into something completely new. What is it going to look like? Jay and April, I don't know. Nobody's an expert on this because it's never happened. And now Chris, I think, has some ideas because I could see the facial expression.
Can you give for our viewers here that are tuning in for the first time, can you give us a bird's eye view of NESARA and GESARA and what exactly does that mean? And then teeing that up for Chris to talk about the secret covenant.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was NESARA. I can talk about NESARA and then it evolved into the global. But NESARA was founded by farmers that had their properties illegally taken away from them in the 1970s. The farmers found a loophole with a really great attorney. The attorney found this loophole in the Americans' 14th Amendment, Section 4, and it was about forgiveness of debt. based on rebellion or insurrection, which would, in other words, mean corruption. So that's how it evolved. And then the farmers were awarded a multi-million-dollar settlement, if you will, but they had to sign an agreement. Bill Clinton came into office. He did not want to sign the NESARA law. But what he did instead, well, he did eventually, but at gunpoint. But what he did is he said, okay, farmers, you can collect your $20 million, but you have to pay X number of hundreds of dollars in order to apply for that. And a lot of farmers were just dead broke. They didn't even have $300. So they couldn't get their 20 million. So now here we are, fast forward. Bill Clinton ended up signing NESARA into law. But what it is it's about debt forgiveness. It's about getting rid of the income tax. It's about prosperity. We don't know exactly what that plan looks like. It's about constitutional law, a new government, meaning a constitutional government. Attorneys and judges will have to be completely retrained. It's about titles of nobility. It's about bad people being kicked off our country, out of our country. Hopefully they don't end up in England or in the UK, Chris, but they'll be kicked off our island and pretty much exiled. They'll never be able to return back to our country, to America. It's about cures. So there's like 6,000 patents of cures, and also about the release of the patents for technologies. About energy, reduced cost. These people are saying free energy. I'm saying reduced cost of energy. So it's about health. It's about mainly the big part is the humanitarian projects. It's about humanity. It's about peace. It's everything I ever wanted in a life. I wanted that hippie life, but I wanted to be a responsible hippie with breath mints and deodorant.
Looks like you're.
We stand at the birth of a new millennium, ready to unlock the mysteries of space, to free the earth from the miseries of disease, and to harness the energies, industries, and technologies of tomorrow. Great.
You're on your way, young lady.
Dreams do come true.
Dreams do come true. Dreams do come true.
Really, it's gonna be. I mean, you think about all the crazy court cases that maybe you fought for your rights. You knew you had the law on your side, but you had a corrupt judge. It's not going to be like that anymore. Our Congress is going to be completely. That's what I think is happening now. Our Congress is getting cleaned out right now because it is
That's
a completely
really good. That's
like
a good thing.
awesome.
That's really good. Those just watching those people is just absolutely disgusting to watch.
even get
Really,
me started.
not every
Well,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think what President Trump did is he knew the biggest enemies were here in our own country in America. So he worked with the UK, with Russia, China, believe it or not. He's really, really good in good graces with President Xi. That he's coming across.
He doesn't say negative things about the guy at all. He never has.
Well, the reporter asked about 3 weeks ago, do you have a good relationship with President Xi? And he flat out said no. And then one of my angel anons came on and said President and Xi and President Trump have a great relationship.
That's his chess moves.
That's his little cover. Yeah.
And I actually can't say anything else more. But anyway, yeah, it's really good. So he's got.
I can say something on that, and I think
yes, please do. Yes.
You just laid that out beautifully. Okay, you laid that out beautifully, and I just want to slam dunk, to use a term that you guys are going to understand.
Yeah.
So I understand the relationship with President Xi, and that is that this goes back to the need to know, right? So why is the China Communist Party acting so disgusting at so many levels, etc.? Because it does, and it is, and it won't. But right now, the relationship is between Trump and Xi. It's not between Trump and the Communist Party, right?
Correct.
True.
Wow.
Very, very, very true.
See, and that's where,
yeah.
and actually that's a good point, because that's where I think all of the exiled people will end up, is in CCP. They have to have, that's my opinion. That's just my thoughts.
I'll give you an insight into that. I think Malaysia has 16,000 islands, and 5,000 of them don't have any people on them. So maybe that's where they're going.
Oh,
Malaysia.
I don't know.
Okay. Another Malaysia incident.
So just to finish off the NESARA,
Another
of course,
Malaysian
you were going to do this, but going into the GESARA is the Global Economic Security Act, And so when people message me and go, "Oh, you're the expert on GESARA," I am not. I never said I was. Never said I was right. I'm just sharing my insights, my knowledge, that as my research. Please go and research yourself. But when they push me and they say, "But what about my countries? It comes to my country," I'm like, you cannot have a global currency reset without including the globe, right? So it has to be everywhere, which is a key, very, very key reason why North Korea could not be left out.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. See, that's where I think, because I think Trump did GESARA first. That's why I'm calling the whole thing Trump-SARA. And then he's doing the national, because our politicians are so corrupt. Why there's so much fighting? I can tell you this, on November 4th, riots will end. COVID is going to be gone. The scam-demic, I call it, is gone. So I think that's exactly what it is, Chris, is that he did GESARA first, and that relationship and with Kim Jong-un was incredibly big. It was like, why did he? My thought was, why did he make that move first? You know, like within the first year as president, and then he was in Saudi Arabia doing the sword dance.
Saudi Arabia, Israel,
India,
was big.
Israel, and India, Israel moving the embassy to Jerusalem. That was huge. That was about peace. I get chills just now. India having this.
Here's the thing is, Sandra, I'm sorry to talk over, but what you're nailing here is that this is all about putting pieces of the jigsaw together. So when you post something and somebody says, give me proof, I want to turn around and say, I've been looking at this for 30 years. Just catch up. Just start somewhere, you know? Yeah. And that's the thing, because you have to put the pieces of the jigsaw together. Because look, this has been going on far longer than any of us have been around. You know, this goes back to 9/11 clearly, and then before that Reagan, and then before that JFK, and before that, you know, the World Wars, and before that, all the way through to the Bank of England in 1694. I could bore you to tears with the Bank of England and how they created a fraudulent monetary system for the planet, etc. Just go and do your research. Just start somewhere.
Chris, I want to get into with you just the information
toward each other from opposite sides of the joint security area in the DMZ, the demilitarized border zone that separates North and South Korea. Then a handshake before the president's single footstep made him the first sitting U.S. president to enter North Korea.
We were in Japan for the G20. We came over and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call up Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor.
Kim said the historic moment showed Mr. Trump's willingness to eliminate the unfortunate past and open a new future. Afterward, the two leaders met inside what's known as the Freedom House for nearly 1 hour.
So needed to watch people. But they were talking about Saint Germain. And how Saint Germain's original plan, which is the true NESARA and GESARA, and to have enlightenment and prosperity all throughout the world, but that got hijacked. I'm just wondering, you know, and Trump does resemble Saint Germain.
What are you wondering?
What's that?
Why are you wondering that he resembles Saint Germain?
Yeah, yes. I wonder if he, well, the bloodline obviously, but
knowledge. And here's the big thing about knowledge: it's not yours to keep; it's yours to share, right? And so when I ask people how much money they think is on the planet, and I know I covered this in one of these as well, you know, people have no idea. In fact, there is no way of knowing exactly. But you know, an economist or a bunch of economists could sit down and work it out. But the actual true figure of, or the value of known value in the global monetary system, for example, I am coming back to Saint Germain, I promise, is this figure, or is somewhere between 1.5 and 2 quadrillion. Okay, so quadrillion has 15 zeros. Right?
Not enough to live off of, but a start.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you might not want that contract, but
you have Jay's 100% attention now. He's like,
okay, this is the amount. If you added up all the things of value on this planet, not just the shares, the markets, the futures markets, and gold, property, and all this stuff, land, etc. So 1.5 to 2 quadrillion. There's 1.4 trillion debt involved in that. So a trillion is take off three zeros. All right.
Exactly. Right.
Okay. These are serious amounts of money. And if you sat down with an economist, they talk at length about where money is and all the rest of it. But if I sat down with the economist, I'd tell them, but did you not know that there are accounts out there with this number of zeros?
There you go.
Wow.
That's
What is that
inspiring.
called? What is that?
Ironically,
Does it have a name?
I know.
Yeah.
I call it super
Ironically,
quadrillion.
Quadrillion, beginning with a certain number, right up to a quadradecillion. This is 45 zeros.
45 zeros. That's
45 zeros. Right. The point is that you brought up Saint Germain. Now, Saint Germain has been at some point. This is the way I interpret all the information I've received from very many different sources. Has been either the beginner, probably not the beginner, the facilitator of and the holder and the mover on through this period of 400 years that film covers, of a legacy fund, not the only one on the planet, but a legacy fund that has a value in it. Now, 400 years ago, it didn't have whatever number of zeros of dollars in it, did it? Because there weren't any dollars, but it had value in it. So here's a really important point for people who are waking up to money, for example, right? The word dollar is almost irrelevant in the whole history of money. It's just been really important in the last 200 years.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
just that's right. Yeah.
That's true.
In the last few decades ago.
Yeah.
But I guess most Americans wouldn't know that there were hundreds of versions of dollars at the same time in the 19th, even in the 19th century, right? Okay, maybe they wouldn't even believe that the central bank that was created at the Federal Reserve in 1913, that was the first legal, and it was obviously done illegally, proper central bank for the whole of the US, and they thought it wasn't a central bank. We could go on about that. The point I'm making is that if time is a clock, the dollar's been in the last 30 seconds of all time, right? So what is in this account? If it's got the equivalent, it doesn't have one, it's actually 45 quadrillion in that program. It doesn't have that number of dollars. It has assets in it to the value of that number of dollars. So, for example, if the dollar did go to zero, as many economists believe it has to, because you can't just print all that money and have nothing, because they don't know the background story of what's going on, right? And a new currency would come out, then that account would hold whatever value of a new currency, because it's got assets. And assets aren't valued in a currency. They're just assets that have a value. So obviously we'd be talking about gold and other precious metals.
Right.
And obviously we'd be talking about fine art, but we'd also be talking about all sorts of other things.
Like
there are
diamonds
certain
and
things like
gemstones.
bearer bonds that have come down through the centuries from different countries that would have a massive value in today's thing if you hold them and if you have them. There's a whole interesting thing going on with foreign currency, for example. Right.
Yeah. There is
Point
this. Yep.
about this is that there are funds available to obliterate the entire global monetary system.
Take a look at that, everybody. Take a
And
look.
that is why debt forgiveness is a real thing.
yes.
And I'll tell you a tweet I read. So I do follow some financial guys still, and they are trying to work out what's going on in the market because they don't know this backstory. They don't know what the Trump market is. All they can see is a man they hate. Okay?
Right, exactly.
That's true,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's what
definitely
they
Can't
true.
get past their hate.
Yeah.
They can't see. They're not asking the right questions. They're
Yeah,
asking
exactly.
old questions for old economy. They're asking pre-2008 questions. They're asking Alan Greenspan. I can't bear that man because he's absolutely horrific, and what he did to human beings with violence is terrible. And he will be on one of those lists one day. That man. Okay. They're still asking those type of questions. Well, interest rates could go up, and we could print some more money, and then we could send them off to bonds, off to the Federal. It doesn't work anymore. It's broken, and that's the point. Trump's come to break, but he's got the fund. Okay, there are the funds out there. I wouldn't say he's got the funds. There are the funds out there that could literally completely reinvent the global monetary system today. Ta-da! But other things have to be put in place, right, Santa?
Well, exactly. And I'm looking at this and trying to simplify it because you know how I am about math, and April and Jay here. But I'm looking at it, I'm doing a spreadsheet, and it's like for 7 billion people around the planet, right? And you take that amount, it equates to 642 million per person.
That's insane.
But if we don't have $1 million in debt. We may have 50,000 or 600,000, let's say, depending if we have a mortgage. But you take that into the equation. That's how I kind of equate it in simplified terms, and that includes infants. So that includes the.
It's our new 5D coming along. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I mean, so the prosperity is there. People just aren't understanding it, and like you were saying, asking better questions, Chris. That's the problem. A lot of people don't know what they don't know, so they don't know what question to ask. Like when I first interviewed you, if you saw me on the video, that's probably why I don't have my face up there. I literally had to pick my jaw up from the table, okay, and put it back up in my mouth, because it was like there was things that you were sharing with me that I just didn't know. So when you don't know what you don't know, like people didn't know to like enter a Google search on prosperity plan, how our debts are going to get forgiven a year ago. That was
right, exactly.
Right.
Even a thought.
Or that there was a secret covenant.
Yeah.
Who knew that? I didn't know that until a few hours ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point, because
I didn't.
Even what you said,
this morning I knew it.
Right. We've been in this for many, many years, and I just heard about this when I read it last night, and I showed it to him. So he literally just found out about it this morning. So if we have been in this and we haven't heard about it, think about all the other millions of people that also have never heard of it.
And we're going to get to the we're getting to the end of the show here, everybody, and I want to give both of you an opportunity, if we can if you could share with our audience some love and allevious statements, comments, Chris, if you could, and
I want to go another hour and a half. Is that okay?
Yeah,
definitely.
Hold on, let me pause and replay.
I not had enough.
The battery.
You might have to break this down in 2 shows. My gosh, this is great.
Yeah. No, we definitely want to have you guys back for sure. Yeah.
So let me put a very, very extraordinarily important angle on this, I think. And that is that I genuinely do believe that we are entering a pandemic of positivity. I genuinely believe it. And I want people to take that message of hope. No matter where you are, hold on. Because greater health, greater abundance, just great abundance is coming our way. And it's unfolding already. It's already unfolding. Debt forgiveness is out there, right, Santa? These things are already happening. We've seen evidence.
Right.
So just run with it. And I would say that have no fears about November 4th. This is not an election. This is a watershed for humanity.
Yep.
And the people that I know and the humanitarian projects that they're working on, and I mean, not just I know, but I have a hub of humanity projects, okay, so which I love, humanitarian projects, and people come to me constantly with new ones, quantum ones, extraordinary things. Yesterday, a guy DM'd me from just telling me that that Star Trek scanner where you can step in and you know what's wrong with somebody, that already exists. I mean,
yeah, I'm sure it does. Right.
Imagine,
right.
Therefore, right.
Yeah.
So that people need to know this, because it's not there yet. It's not out there yet. It can't be there yet. There are too many forces that would bring it down. Look at the positivity of what that would bring, what that would mean. The reduction of suffering is extraordinary. And I'm just going to leave you with one quote, and I love this quote, and it's Mark Twain. So you ever need a quote for a show, for a speech, or whatever, to look good, turn to Mark Twain. I mean, he's got words for every occasion, yeah? And it's one that's at the beginning of The Big Short. Please go watch The Big Short. You'll begin to understand what's occurring now in the financial markets. Just watch it again and again. It's my favorite film, The Big Short, and it starts, and the quote goes along the lines of something like this: "It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for certain that just ain't so." And what you're looking at in your world is, you know for certain all these things exist, and you know for certain that's how I have to go to work, and you know for certain that you've got to pay your taxes, and you absolutely know for certain that if you get cancer at 65 you die, and if you get it at 26 you might not. This is all BS, made up, controlled, part of the covenant. And what you know for certain, believe me, it is not so.
Thank you, brother. Well said. Santa,
Thank you.
some closing words for us.
April J., it's always a delight being on your show. You two are fabulous hosts. Seriously, fabulous hosts.
Likewise.
I'd like to close with a verse, and really it's God is in control. It's Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans of good and not evil, to give you a future and a hope."
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful.